Hello everyone, so good to see you. Welcome to, I guess, a different kind of stream today. We're on Good Vibes Arcade at the moment, but we're going to be doing a design stream. The Switch 2 was not announced, but we got a time frame finally. The president of Nintendo has announced that this next fiscal year will be the announcement of the Switch 2, the successor to the Nintendo Switch, whatever you want to call it. In the June Direct that's coming, we're not going to see anything for this new era. We're only going to be seeing the Switch, and that may in fact be the last time that we get a full Direct that's only focused on and only on the Nintendo Switch, given how the NX to Switch era happened years prior. So I thought it'd be fun to just do something that totally original. Nobody's ever done this before. Mock up a Switch 2 logo. Honestly, it might not be very different from the actual logo itself, but what I want to do with that, if I have time and if I have the know-how, let's animate the logo too. Let's put it down, let's think of the design itself, and then let's put it into something like After Effects and see if we can animate something, because I have an idea for it. I have a working idea in my head. I was talking with Brandon about this just last night when we were doing a whole bunch of work putting discussions and thumbs together, which are on the main channel right now if you want to see. We got news and already a discussion with Steve and Brandon talking about the Switch 2 and what we could expect, what we know, all that good stuff. So the team at GVG is all ready to go with coverage, and I'm ready to go in with my mock-up designs and whatnot. If this comes out well, maybe we'll do some more designing in the future. Maybe the Switch menu design. I had the idea of a Switch menu redesign or a Switch 2 menu mock-up as well. There's a lot we can do from here, but let's go ahead and flip ourselves right over. Y'all have to bear with me, everybody. I'm just like a floating box, aren't I? I want to be as least in the way as possible. You know what? I'm here already. Give me a second. We're gonna hold on. We're doing this live. Want to see a magic trick? Probably should have put that part down earlier. Hold on. Thanks, Elgato. Glad I didn't wear any green today. Ta-da! For the logo, I don't think we're gonna vary too much away from the actual Switch design. So I'm gonna grab these as a reference. So we have this logo right here, of course, the regular Nintendo Switch logo. I'm gonna also grab the Joy-Con that we had, like an actual pair of Joy-Con as well. I'll probably drag this in here. It's hard to imagine what the design for the Joy-Con will be after the fact, because we already have a really good design for this controller. Like, it's hard for me to hold this. It's not the best controller, but for what they're trying to achieve, something that's, you know, going in on both sides, something that is like symmetrical the way that it is, it's pretty well designed. So I can't imagine they're going to veer too far away from this style for whatever the next system is going to have controller wise. So this will be nice and large. We're going to pretty much copy what this looks like. We're going to draw around it real quick. So yeah, if you look at this, it's not like an exact one-to-one recreation of the Joy-Con. It's more just a exaggeration of what it would be, because like if you make this as tall as it is, they're not as wide and they're not as tall either. It's a bit of a different look for these two. So let's be a little more deliberate with this and make it more so this shape and design. So I'm going to use the pen tool. The pen tool is something that I've been using for so many years. It's been something that I go to very often for making very precise designs. So we're going to go down here. The pen tool allows you to draw shapes however you like. So you can see this anchor point I'm moving around. This line will become whatever that shape needs to be. And when you click, every time there's an anchor point, you can just adjust that as you need to. People are intimidated by the pen tool. It's a bit scary to work with because it can be so unpredictable at times, let's just say. So like right here, you have that curve. You need to grab this anchor point by holding the Alt key, and then you can just drag it back into place if you need to. And if you hold Shift, it'll snap to a lot of different positions. So that's really handy if you want to get a straight line going just like this. Stalking Pineapple is asking, for the first time in chat, by the way, do you prefer using Photoshop to Illustrator? Oh yeah, I think a lot of graphic designers will tell you, unless they like grew up with Illustrator and only used Illustrator for a long time, that Photoshop is a bit more flexible in what to do. So Photoshop is pretty much what you want to use when you want to do anything with rasters. Raster is pretty much anything that has a set amount of pixels. So like this picture right here, there's pixels in it. If you zoom in, it gets all blurry and messy because the pixels are being scattered apart. If you shrink it, it still kind of gets kind of messed up because now those pixels are getting shrunken down and squished together. Illustrator is a vector program where if you want to make shapes very much like this logo right here, very solid shapes in which no matter how much you increase or decrease it, it'll keep that amount of quality. There's no pixels because they're vectors now. So if you're making logos, anything with like flat, solid designs, usually Illustrator is the better one to work with. But because we can kind of work around it with Photoshop by just making the resolution high enough. So let me grab this. Let me continue the pen tool path. Oh boy. I need to give myself more room here. So if we go ahead and complete this here, we want to zoom in real close and make sure that this is lined up here. And it's just a matter of making sure that it's very smooth. So with that selected, we can go down to our paths down here. And if you hold Control and click on it, you see the little ants running across it. That means we can now select and do what we please with this. So onto an entirely new layer. We're going to fill this up entirely with one color. And you can tell already, like this is like way taller than what the actual Joy-Con logo is here. And I think that's fine. I think for the sake of having something that looks visually different, we'll go ahead and make them a bit taller than what we're used to seeing. And I think we'll go ahead and make a copy of this and go on this side. So we'll do what we did earlier. We'll flip it horizontally so it has that symmetrical design right here. Now, I guess we'll probably just keep it to these circles because I don't want to like adjust it too differently, you know? I'm curious what it'll look like if we just make it very deliberately the same. So when we make a shape, we can also hover over that layer, press Control and click on it, and it'll also give you the same little ants. And by doing that, we can have that be like a little cookie cutter. So we hover over this layer, it deletes, and now it's cut with that hole in the middle. And there we have like 1/2, which looks similar to this one, but just like its taller, older, slender brother. It's always good to make copies of your layers for non-destructive designing. So this right here, if this doesn't come out the way I want to, we'll have another one on the side, kind of waiting in the wings. There are many different ways to make a design happen the way you envision it. So let me try another thing as well. So I can go inside, I could double click it and then give it a stroke on the inside. We'll make sure it's a color that's contrasting the rest of it. And if you increase the size, so now as you look at this, it's keeping the exact same shape, but also the length of the stroke just evenly distributed all the way across. So I think that's about a good size right there. It's been a while since I've done a design stream, so I hope that everyone is having a chill time tonight, or this afternoon, or morning. Depends where you are. It's gonna look funny for a second, but we're gonna delete this right here and remove that stroke. So now we have something that is very akin to the same width going all the way around, just like in the Joy-Con that's on this side right here. So the shape that I used earlier, you can't see it right now, but if I fill it with white, there's that exact shape that we cookie cut it out with before. So we can just take that same shape and just put it over here instead. All of a sudden we have a Joy-Con. But you might think, it looks kind of funny. There's a reason why Nintendo made it so squat, was because if you elongate it like this, it becomes very like oddly shaped on this side, right? Like this one, I think the right side Joy-Con looks pretty good as it is, but this one looks a little funny. Artista AF is saying, clearly it needs a U in the logo. Ah, that's how it connects it. The Switch 2, U. It's a smiley face. Probably wouldn't be that. So it's hard to like simplify a look for a Joy-Con that does not exist yet. We'll probably get that design before we'll probably get the logo design before we even see the actual design of the controller itself. Put together, it doesn't look as odd. I guess it's because the space apart made it look a little weird, but when they're closely linked together, it's a little bit easier to see. Are these the same shape? Hold on, I'm gonna figure out this right now. Are these the exact same size? It'd be silly if it wasn't. Yeah, this is... a little smaller. This circle is actually a little smaller. It doesn't perfectly cover over it. Interesting. That's true, huh? This looks like it's a little bigger. It's that optical illusion stuff, dude. This is the exact same size. This is the exact same size as this right here, but it looks bigger because the negative space around it is fooling your brain into thinking that it's actually not that size. So if you shrink this a bit more, just the tiniest bit more. I barely shrunk it. But do you think that looks better? Here's A. I'm gonna be your eye doctor right now. This is A, and this is B. Same thing with that right there. This is A, and this is B. And somehow that looks a lot better to my eyes. So if you go hover over here, like it is notably a bit smaller, but yeah, this doesn't fully eclipse this thingy either. And that's nuts. We're gonna leave it like this. So yeah, this is essentially the Switch Joy-Con actual size right here, which is weird to think, like actual proportions, which doesn't look like it would be, but it is. Much respect to whoever goes into making these logo designs because it takes a long time to make it look just right. I come back to this and I'm just like, is this really good? I do this all the time. I'll step away from a design when I've been looking at it for a long time and I'll be like, is this actually working out? I don't know. Up here, it feels like it's a little too far away, but if we nudge it down just a bit like that I had earlier, man, it's weird because this one right here looks thicker than the one on the left, but they are in fact the same size. I swear to you, they are the same length and girth as the others. Here we go. They make a perfect rectangle. That's interesting. They make a perfect rectangle that way. It's hard to determine what they're going to name this, right? Because we have the Switch as it is. And unfortunately, Wii to Wii U was not very successful in the slightest. So Switch to whatever the Switch becomes afterwards, it's going to seem like a repeat of what we had beforehand. But it's worked before in the past. Game Boy has had the same line of name from Color to Advance. And that was largely very successful for Nintendo. They've had their successes and their hindrances in the past, so it's hard to tell like what they would do with that. For the sake of the stream not being like hours and hours long, I'm going to leave this as it is. This will be our concept for the time being. This is kind of funny. If you looked at the thumbnail that we did just last night for the announcement of the successor with Furukawa's tweets, I did a very quick mock logo of the Switch 2, and that's kind of where this idea is coming from right now. So I'm curious to see. We're going to put a 2 right in the middle. This probably is not the 2 we're going to use. For this, it's really important that we just take a design concept and we just roll with it. It might not be the final design. It probably is going to change before we see this announced because there's so many different kinds of leaks and speculation and rumors that we don't know what it's going to be. But I'm going to lean on the fact that this is going to be magnetic, as people have been talking about and clamoring about a lot thus far. It might not be the case, maybe that is exactly what's going to be, but we're going to at least stick to a concept and roll with it. I know, I'm leaking the whole entire design right now. Nintendo just commissioned me and we're doing this live. This isn't the most obnoxious we've seen a number in a logo. I mean, the PlayStation is all about that. The PS is as big as the number following it throughout the entire cycle of all those systems. So we're gonna go from this line. So this lines up with this pretty well. It's a straight line right there with that 2, right? So if we keep going down, okay, so it doesn't line up. I want this to be flushed to the side. So we're gonna take this very carefully right here. And this whole chunk is gonna die right now for the cause. So cut that out. And now we have, just like that, we customized the 2 to it. But I do want this shape because I want this to be able to be leaned up against this. And over here, okay, that doesn't matter as much on this side because it's already on there. Put a patent on that too. We gotta get these patents going before Nintendo gets on us. we want to try all the exaggerations. Is it going to be looking good if it's really close? And is it going to be looking good if it's very far apart from each other? As Kaylin's saying, Nintendo probably has a team of designers and marketing people sweating about making a good logo. Yeah, especially when you need to follow up with the Switch. Like, I imagine they're like, okay, we have an idea already of what to do because of what worked with the Switch, but also we need to differentiate this enough from the original design so that people will recognize it as this is a new thing. This is a new, entirely new product, because that's exactly where that confusion happened with the Wii to the Wii U. They didn't change the Wii logo like at all. They just added the U to it. And that's why I'm a little afraid that this design won't be different enough, because it's still the Joy-Con, but they added the 2 inside of it. Although the 2 is a lot more obvious of a sequel, of a successor, than the letter U. So there's a lot of talk about this right now if they haven't already designed it. This is also a logo that needs to look good in flat black and also in flat white for promotional purposes. Like, we're actually thinking about what to do when the time comes. Is it too tall? Do you think it's too tall? Should we shorten it? I actually don't know why I have a black background, because it's gonna be like this, right? We're gonna have red. It's gonna probably be red. I'm sorry for hurting your eyes with sudden jump scare of red. Graphic design is a lot of cheating. I didn't do anything. I just made the same, I just copied it and moved it to the side. We started with this right here. Well, we started with something way different. See, a lot of this is just taking things as a base and then moving it. I'm leaving it like this. I'm spending too much time on it. I'm thinking too much on it. We're also going to save each of these individual pieces on its own. I'm going to do the really weird part. I've never done animation on stream before. And I have an idea what to do. It's just doing it that's going to be interesting, to say the least. Welcome, everybody. This is After Effects. This is a program where you can take a lot of the stuff that you create in other Adobe programs and make them into something that moves. So we're going to make this a 5-second thing. We're not going to make it too long. So I'm thinking with my mind right now. Yeah, this should be long enough. For now, we're going to leave it like this. Center and center as it is. We're gonna make this a little more subtle because I don't need to see everything. I need this is where we're ending up on. The right Joy-Con, the left Joy-Con, and the 2 all together. I need to grab all of these and shrink them down to the size that they're going to be appropriate on. I only really started learning After Effects joining GVG. I'll be over here. There's probably not going to be anything happening on this side. So I was thinking of what kind of concept I want to stick with and work with, because if you have too many concepts at the same time, it kind of becomes a jumbled mess. The concept I'm thinking of is just sticking with the idea that it is magnets. So if this Joy-Con, in fact, is comprised of magnets, I'm working this animation of the logo into that. So there's the very iconic one singular ka-chick, the click, when you see anything for the Switch on directs and whatnot. For this one, I want to have 2 separate sound effects. So it's like a snapping sound. So it's like instead for the 2 sound effects this time. It's very simple, and maybe it sounds kind of dumb, but that's what I'm going all in for with this right now. So these Joy-Con, the starting frame, they're going to be out. They're going to be starting off over here. It looks funky right now, but I need to save these 2s as separate layers. Let's take this rectangle. It feels silly to save a rectangle of all things, but I need this specific size rectangle. And the shape looks so dumb because it's just a rectangle, but it's a very important rectangle that we need to have. In reality, this 2 isn't showing up yet. It shouldn't be here. It's going to start off without it even being in the image. If I go back real quick, I'll do a super quick demonstration. So it starts like this, right? Keyframes. Keyframes are what make animation work. So I'll start a keyframe for this at the very beginning with rotation, scale, and position, right? You move, say, 1 second later in the animation, it'll rotate this much, it'll scale a bit bigger, and it's going to move to the right, right? So that's what I have set this keyframe for. So if you go back to the first frame right here and you play it out, that 1 second later, that's all those animations and functions done in that 1 second. You can go backwards for a quick view. You can control like just how much it moves and how intensely. So you can grab all these keyframes. Is it too slow? You can cut that in half. So move those keyframes halfway through, and now it'll go by twice as fast. Or if you want it slower, you can move this all the way down to 2 seconds or 3 seconds. And it'll take that time. It'll make those same motions, but it'll stretch it out to fit those 3 seconds. So if we do that again, same animation, but now at 3 seconds, it goes to where you end it. And you can control this with whatever you want, with opacity, with how much you rotate it, how much it scales back and forth, where it ends up. So it's really very versatile in that way, especially when you have a bit more of a know-how how to do these sort of things. And trust me, I'm always learning at the time. All the time I'm learning. So the scale and position, no, the scale is going to be the same. It's the rotation that's going to be a little funky. So it starts here. We're going to leave it be for a while. Okay, this is where the first keyframe is. So we're going to move it, let's say, yeah, 10 this way. We'll make another keyframe here. It's going to go back again. We're going to make it rock back and forth. So we can take those same keyframes that we just did, copy them, paste them over here, so they're repeating again. I'm sorry that it's really small to see way down there in the timeline, but we're taking those keyframes and we're repeating them so that the Joy-Con's gonna shake a bit. You see that? And I know it probably seems kind of odd that it's wiggling like this, but I will show you what I'm thinking in just a moment. Okay, here's another fun thing you can do is do easy ease. It's called easy ease, where it's a bit rigid right now. This animation, it's like, right? But by selecting this and doing a little function with F9, good old F9, it can become a lot smoother. It probably won't matter too much because it's such a short and small animation, but it does help in other situations. And it's a matter of if I can get this 2 to look right. I think I know how to make this look right, but it's definitely a trip. And this is some advanced nonsense happening. I'm sorry if it's not easy to explain, but you can make it so that certain parts of the animation will play faster than others. So right now it's an even curve. This pink portion right here is an even, like, it'll slide across, and it's the same speed from point A to point B. And so if I adjust this frame right here, it's going to exaggerate the first portion really quickly, but then when it comes to the end, it's going to slow down more. Making move across. Okay, so that looks pretty good, I think. Now the question is if I can make this work with this portion of the 2. I'm going to go back to our good friend, the pen tool. I'm going to draw out this portion. I'm going to try and stay to the center as best I can. Delicate work now, but we'll make it go here. Bring it down. Now explain what I'm doing here. I'm going to take stroke as an effect where you can actually draw out whatever you have here, connect it to a mask, because this is a mask on the 2 right now, or that first half of the 2. So stroke, we'll drag it over on top of this. And okay, we'll just click all masks, and then we're going to reveal original image. Right now it's hiding, and we need to have the stroke be a lot larger. So now it's drawing out that portion. I'm going to have it move with the Joy-Con. So right now it's like, all right, check that out. So right now, the right Joy-Con is still static, but as it stands, it's going to go something like this. It's reacting to the magnet, and so the left hand is moving because it's being attracted to the magnet. It's going to draw out this half of the 2. And if you see where I'm going with this, Now the next portion is going to be that Joy-Con coming back the other way, the right Joy-Con coming back this way and finishing the number 2. It's going to kind of lean that way. I'm going to make this Joy-Con also move along with this. Just a little bit. It bounces it that way, right? And now it's going to, now that it has the attraction, it's going to go back the other way and it's going to snap into our original logo position, which is hiding back here. That's why we have that back here. So we know where the guide is for this one. So off the histogram, we're bouncing this way. And now, so we got this far. This way, and now we're gonna, very brief moment to breathe. So position. I mean, we're gonna base it on how this Joy-Con moves now. So it's gonna go back to where this is, hovering over the original logo position. Okay, that seems good enough. It just kind of goes back and forth again. And I have to do that with the 2 as well. We have the first half of the 2. I haven't actually worked with the histogram so often as I am in right now. So it's gonna be like the snap and then the snap. And it's hard to tell because I haven't done the other half of the 2 yet, but position, and then we're gonna do the same thing we did earlier with the pen tool, which is draw a line, which is just one line going across because now it's just that. And then putting the same effect of stroke, all masks. If I go start to finish, what does it look like from start to finish? Let's see. So it still needs like some fine tuning. But I feel like it has like the whole snap right there. You know what I mean? So there's like 1 snap, 2 snap. It still might need some tweaking as far as like how fast it snaps into place. But for the most part, I think it'd be interesting to have something like this. More or less, that's what I think we landed upon for a Nintendo Switch 2 logo. Yeah, that's it. It shakes a bit. It comes that way. It's just that playful little Nintendo feel of, you know, the icon itself shakes around. It comes over, reveals half of the 2 with 1 snap. This Joy-Con comes in this way for the other 2 and kind of knocks it into place, and then they rearrange so that they're evenly distributed from each other. Thank you so much for watching me just kind of mess around with a potential Switch 2 logo, successor to the Switch, whatever you want to call it. I think what we have here is pretty nice. I think it's pretty good. I think chat above me thinks it's pretty good. We spent like 2.5 hours total doing this, so hopefully if Nintendo wants to use this, you can call me. I'm available, and I can commission a different one if you think this is, you know, halfway there. We can work and get across the finish line together. But once again, thank you for watching. If you want to see more stuff like this, let me know. Maybe we'll design like a Switch 2 menu. We can redesign the original Switch menu because, you know, that's a lot of UI that people have wanted to be different for a long time now. We've got options. Stay tuned to GVG for more stuff, more content on Switch 2. We're going to be rolling that out a lot. We got some discussions on the channel already. So take care, everyone. Till we meet again.